In 2022, I started off my journalism course at the University of Brighton, and I really enjoyed it, and I could recommend to a load of other people. So I thought I'd make a video telling people, well, not telling people, that seems to be harsh, but giving people some tips of what to expect from a journalism course, and also what to expect, and also what to do. So I've tried to compile it into this sort of video, so I hope you enjoy. Number one, the first year will be awkward. Journalism is a very extroverted type of thing. You're emailing people, interviewing people all the time, and just trying to get used to being in front of a camera or typing stuff in a journalistic manner. Or you also do podcasts in the first year if you go to the same university as me. So they do kind of throw it all on you at once, but I think that's the same with most courses. So yeah, just don't think that you'll don't think that because you're introverted, you're gonna do badly. It's like they're going to expect that you're going to be a little bit awkward in front of the camera, but as long as you get the full sentence done, get what you wanted to say out, either in writing or spoken, then usually in the first year, as long as you've put in an effort and you usually will get a mark that going into the second year, and also build your confidence in the process. Number two, even though I feel like it's blindingly obvious, you have to interview people. The amount of people I ended up having to interview by the end of the year was quite high. I involved either emailing people, calling people, or just going out and saying, "Can I speak to you for my thing?" And they usually say yes. And I feel like when you're an introvert, you just think, "Oh, sure, I can just email my message my mates on like WhatsApp and just get them to basically pretend to know about the topic." But they'll know. They told me on many occasions they'll know. They know if you just got your flatmates, your housemates, your old friends from secondary school, or even just people your family knows. Because at some point you got to exhaust your list of friends, but it's gonna be hard to exhaust your list of contacts. So yeah, just even if you're an introverted person like I was, just email people and just obviously it may be better at communication. And I think I'm much less introverted now. Now I've actually done interviews with some people, and the thing is that most people are lovely people. Number three, emailing someone more than once is completely fine in moderation. What I mean by this is that sometimes if you want to like email a big company, like at one point I emailed the FA to do a story on my website about campaigns in football. You can check that out. Hopefully, I'll put the link in the description, or if not, just go to my website via the homepage and you can read it there. It's called, I think it's Enough Power Campaigns in Football. I got to speak to someone from the FA about that, and they got back to me straight away. So bad example, but on some occasions you might need to email a company or email whoever you wanted to interview about two or three times before I get back to you. Because the first time, if it's a big company, they're going to miss it. So you just give yourself more of a chance. But when I say in moderation, is you don't want to get to the end of the week and you send them 7 emails. It's like, you want to get the interview, but sometimes it's not that desperate. It's like, just leave a couple of days between each email. Just as a heads up, he was just saying, "Hi, just wanted to check you got my email from the other day." So yeah, basically, you're allowed to re-email people just to make sure they got your email, but just don't overdo it. Number 4, going wrong is normal. This is a massive one. If I showed you some of the some of the clips that I've cut down for my video submissions, it will be me just fumbling over the same line over and over again, and then all of a sudden just getting the whole entire sentence out. Because sometimes your brain can sometimes jump forward in the sentence, and you suddenly, as you can see by sometimes me pausing here, sometimes your brain will jump forward in the sentence, and then you suddenly go, "Hang on, where am I?" And you suddenly stop. You have to just you sort of try and think about the sentence as you're saying it, just so you're not. Your mouth is halfway through the sentence and your brain's already at the end of it. It's already starting a new paragraph. So yeah, it's all fine to go wrong. So that the teachers tell me to try and to just say it was like a pen in my mouth, or even just your finger, like that. Just so you know what you're supposed to say, how it's going to come out, just so it doesn't catch you by surprise, basically. So yeah, it's going wrong's normal. You've got to do a couple of takes, and you're allowed to celebrate when you get it first try, which I did every now and then. Well, I was just happy I managed to get like 3 sentences. I once said like 3 sentences in the whole thing, and like one after the other, and I got it out first try without need of another take, and I was really happy with myself. Okay, next one is more if you're doing sports journalism and you go into what I did, which was doing match reports for a football club, and that is doing match reports on your website or someone else's, like on like a BBC Sport or a Sky Sports or something. It's different to doing the report from the club, which is something I learned very quickly. When you're doing it from the club, you're not allowed to. Well, not saying not allowed. It's more. It's much better if you're doing for a club itself, to try and be as positive as you can be, even after a bad result. And you can't say like a good result. Like, instead of saying that you got lucky and it was like a scramble in the box and they just tapped it in, you talk about it like, dude pounced on the loose ball, blah 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 blah, which I did a couple of times, and I actually did the whole they got lucky thing, and the person at Lewis had a bit of a go at me. So yeah, it's. I'll say if you're doing something, I think it actually does apply to like if you're doing it for a fashion magazine or a fashion newspaper, and then you're like writing marketing for a fashion brand. Yeah, I think it's a good example because it's like if you're doing it like that, you're allowed to have a go at the fashion thing if you're in a fashion magazine, but if you're doing marketing, you're promoting it. You're promoting the brand, and you don't want to say, "I think this dress is a bit naff." Sort of the same way as you don't want to say, the football team I'm reporting on are rubbish," basically. And I suppose it's like it can be minor, but they'll notice. I can promise you, they'll notice. So yeah, make sure you know the difference between the two, and it all should all be fine. Number 6, another very big one. Plan your questions beforehand. I can't stress this enough. You don't want to be it's everyone's worst nightmare. Going and doing an interview with someone, you don't know what you're actually meant to say, and someone's wanting to interview back. Like, take a post-match interview, and there's like a 10-second gap between each answer and the next question because you hadn't actually planned in advance because you were on your laptop or your phone not watching the game, and you're making that abundantly clear in the post-match interview. It's like you're basically just saying to this person, "Look, I was so bored I didn't even watch the game," or I'm just and then in sort of like if you're doing it for a submission or something, you're pretty much saying to someone, "Look, I care so little about this topic. I'm just doing it for the sake of. I'm just doing it for the sake of getting something submitted. They have actually planned questions because I can't actually be bothered. A, I'll get onto this later. Pick what you want to do. And B, even if you have to do something like that, at least plan questions beforehand. Even if it is just simple questions, they'll also be sufficient enough for your piece. Like, it doesn't even. I'm not even saying like you have to write down all the questions and like follow up questions and stuff like that. To follow up questions, you don't need to write down. Someone might say something and you suddenly get a new question. You can ask that. At least you had the question to begin with. I'm just saying, even just have like about 4 words saying, ask him about this, or at least you describing what the question's about. Just so you can, it'll click in your mind saying, yes, I remember what question I was going to ask now. And also, sort of a sub-bracket of this, make sure you're not asking them the same thing over and over again. Because I did that once where the person had answered the question, I looked down my list and suddenly went, hang on, they've already answered that, and that. So yeah. Make sure you plan your questions in advance. And sometimes they'll answer a couple of your questions during other answers, so make sure you've got a good list of them. You don't have to do all of them, you just have to make sure you don't exhaust yourself after about 3 minutes. Because they've either given quick answers or they've answered literally every single one of your questions in your first question. Number 7, if I was doing a list about just English writing stuff in general, I think I'd use this as well, like essay-wise. Don't think you know the conclusion to begin with and you've already got it typed up. Like, your conclusion will come after you've interviewed everyone. Don't think, I'm going to email a bunch of people to prove that this thing is bad. And you email all these people, they actually change your mind. Well, change your mind. They give you a load of good arguments against why it's not bad. And then you don't want to be too set on a certain conclusion that you then try and argue around everything to try and keep you with the same conclusion. Do you think, I want to find out what people think of this and whether it is a problem. I'll say use the word weather a lot. WHETHER. I'm not talking about weather as in rain. As in whether it's like whether this is going to happen, whether this is going to happen. So give yourself a question as your first basis. Then when it comes to writing it, you know what the conclusion is, and then that'll help you work out what your title's going to be. And you don't have to try and do some weird trying to link stuff together and trying to pick at stuff just so you can If you that really good conclusion you've given yourself, you've written it marvellously, you've done a great analogy, and then you found out that it's completely wrong. So make sure you know what your don't do the conclusion in advance, and don't spend too much time on it in advance, and then have it all be wrong, and suddenly you got to have to retype it anyway. Number 8 is something I mentioned before. It's sort of a case of do stuff you actually want to do. It's more an overarching term of be realistic. I want to say be realistic. It's is it close? Can you actually do you actually have contacts you have in advance? And is it definitely going to be something you'll be interested in by the time you submitted it? Because the last thing you want is be doing a project and so you're losing interest in it halfway through, which I went through. I do the in last year you do like a massive investigation thing, which is like a long 5,000 bit of work, which I was originally going to do about virtual reality, and sort of like I've mentioned before, I had such a great title. It's always going to be the reality of it all, and I never got to use it. And the reason I never got to use it was because I didn't have like any proper contacts apart from like the people I did the second year of the Hardware AR sports thing. But that was just one I couldn't think of any more. So I had a limited contact list. I and then I lost interest in it by about November. So that's why I ended up doing the fantasy football one, which is again on my website, is the really long one. Because it's something I was actually interested in. I had plenty more contacts from my first 2 years at university. So yeah, when it comes to long bits of writing or just any bits of writing, I'll just say be realistic. Just so you're not constantly hitting roadblocks because you don't realise that your original idea is pretty much impossible. Also, additionally on that point, I definitely had that point during the last year where I was putting all my eggs in the basket of I'll be able to go to a different country and I'll be in great critical investigation and stuff. I knew it wasn't going to happen. That's what I mean by being realistic. If your brain's telling you it's not going to be possible, it probably isn't. If your brain goes, this is feasible, then go with that instead because it's possible. Number 9, most of the time, it's not going to be something you can do last minute. I'll especially say that to anyone who's going into third year this year. Like it's your critical investigation. Like I don't know why I struggled to say the word investigation there. Your critical investigation is 5,000 words. I was actually doing it and giving myself a rota to do it, it took me 3 days. Which doesn't sound like a lot, and sounds like, oh, he's doing it last minute. But that's just writing the first draft. You got to change paragraphs, like, you realise it's got nothing to do with it, which happened. You suddenly realise that's not grammatically correct at all. And you have to correct it. And maybe that guy who you email saying we do into and you think they've gone radio silent on you, suddenly gets back to you about a week before the deadline, and it'll be like a massive part to it, and at least you can work out a bit. You got it mostly written out anyway, so you can take it out and stick that in there. I'm not saying that you should rush it all now and then get. You shouldn't rush it all now and then it's like, so I've got it here and now I'll get to prove it because he's going to be wrong. I'm just saying, be periodic with it, slowly build it up over time, and it won't seem like much of a stress on you. So you're not awake at about 4 o'clock in the morning trying to tell some words out of 2 interviews, even though they ask you for about 4 or 5. So, and another one in last year is like you had to do a 5 minute recorded thing, and it's also saying you can't leave last minute because when you think, oh, 5 minutes isn't that much, it's just 5 minutes of my life with just me talking camera. No, you had to record it, get interviews, get some cutaway shots, get some graphics, get show your research, and edit it. Which actually, funny anecdote. I tried to fit it all on a USB stick, and went to one of the recording things, and then I did the daft thing of not doing something before ejecting the USB stick, and ended up. And basically, the USB stick, which was about 2 years old at that point, just decided to just have a full on breakdown, and then I lost half of the stuff. But the good thing about it was the fact that I'd already exported it and put it on the thing to submit it. And if I left it last minute and that happened, then I basically would have been screwed. So yeah, don't leave things to the last minute because things will go wrong, is basically what I'm trying to say. And finally, number 10. Earlier on I said you can't just use your mates for your interviews, but your study mates, the people who are going to be in the same course as you at the university, although you can't interview them because you're not allowed to. But not what I do is in. It's not that it's against the rules. It's just more seen as a bit like with more formal terms saying lazy, whatever that is. But they're there to help. They can give you ideas saying you could do this. Like during my last year, it was usually just going to be. It was about charity shopping. It's a long story. It's basically second-hand selling apps getting in the way of charity shopping, which wasn't my plan to begin with. It was just going to be, oh, how does charity shopping affect? I actually can't remember now because it was so vague. And they're showing it was third year. It seems a bit vague. I was like, okay. And then someone in my journalism class, I can't thank her enough, when you could do a bit of outfitting default, and I was like, you know what, that's a really good idea. Because then when I looked it up, I realised that yes, there was a link. No, not causation thing. It's just like it'll be something I'll talk about, and I can actually focus my questions down not even on that. And it was really helpful. Like, someone else who's doing a completely different talk to you will see your video sometimes and just go, I've got an idea for what something you can do. And they can tell you something and you just go, you know what, that's a good idea, thank you. And then again, another disclaimer. What I'm saying is people can help you make your work better, but they're not going to do the work for you. You can't message them and say, can you record the whole thing for me? Can you go out to this place on the other side of the UK? record this stuff, send it to me, and do bloody 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 blah. It's still your job, but some people can sometimes go with the idea when you can't think of anything. Anyway, that's pretty much all I can think of at the minute. And if you've got any other suggestions, feel free to put it down in the comments. And I might be doing a part 2 of like your suggestions, and if I come up with anything else in the next couple of weeks, I might make a part 2 of this, of like tips and stuff like that. But yeah, hopefully this might get to someone doing a journalism course, and if so, I just want to let people know that I've done the whole course, and as long as you, sometimes it's a case of as long as you take it seriously. Sometimes taking it seriously makes it more enjoyable. If you just try and brush it aside and try and leave everything to the last minute, you're gonna say stuff like it was taking a toll on you and stuff. It's like, yeah, because you left it till the last minute. So yeah, hopefully this gets to people who actually find this useful. Tell me what you think. And yeah, I've done it, so you can as well. Hopefully you can take something from this. Hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.